Hannah is out hunting a deer deep in a snowy forest. She releases an arrow, but it misses the heart, and the animal is still alive. Without hesitation, she calmly pulls out a weapon and finishes it off. As she begins cleaning the deer, a man suddenly approaches her from behind and attacks. A brutal fight breaks out, but it turns out this was only a test. The man is her father, and he is testing how alert and capable Hannah really is. Because she loses the fight, Hannah is punished and forced to carry the deer back on her own. When they return to their small cabin, her father, Eric, scolds her for not being strong or alert enough. To sharpen her focus, he makes her repeat motivational phrases in different languages like German, Italian, French, and Spanish. He also teaches her general knowledge from encyclopedias so she can understand the world beyond the forest. Before going to sleep, Hannah opens a storybook and looks at a photo of her mother inside. She stares at it quietly, full of longing, until she finally falls asleep. The next day, Hannah continues her combat and shooting training while constantly repeating facts about herself. That night, while she is sleeping, Eric suddenly points a gun at her head. Instinctively, Hannah reacts and manages to overpower him.
I'm ready. I'm ready now.
She tells her father that she is ready now. It is unclear what she truly means, but shortly after, Eric steps outside and begins digging something into the ground. The next morning, while Hannah is playing with her dog, she notices an airplane flying overhead. She runs back to the cabin to tell her father, only to find that Eric has finished setting up the device he buried earlier. He explains that once it is activated, it will reveal their location to a woman named Marissa. He does not explain much about her, but it becomes clear that Marissa has been hunting them for a long time. That is why Eric brought Hannah to live deep in the wilderness, far from everyone else. Eric tells Hannah that if she truly feels ready to leave the forest, all she has to do is press the switch. But he also warns her that once she does, there is no turning back. The hunt will not stop until either they are dead or Marissa is. And with that choice, her life changes forever. This is Hannah. The next day, Eric invites Hannah to go hunting with him, but she refuses and chooses to stay behind. After he leaves, Hannah makes her decision and activates the device. When Eric returns, he is shocked to see the tracker has been triggered. Realizing danger is now closing in, he becomes visibly anxious and pulls Hannah into a tight embrace. Knowing everything is about to change, the story then shifts to a woman entering CIA headquarters in Langley, Virginia. Shortly after arriving, one of the agents reports that they have detected a signal from a CIA transmitter at exactly 6:30 a.m. The signal traces back to a remote forest in Finland, suggesting that Eric has been located. Hearing this, the woman named Marissa immediately calls a private meeting with several CIA officials. During the briefing, she reveals that Eric is a highly trained former CIA operative who was deactivated after being labeled a traitor. He is also accused of killing a junior agent named Johanna, someone he personally recruited. Evidence found near her body included Eric's weapon and his fingerprints. Because of this, Eric is now considered extremely dangerous, and the agency decides to move quickly to capture him. At the same time, Eric is seen preparing himself by fixing his appearance and putting on a suit as he gets ready to leave the forest. Before going, he gives Hannah one final warning, telling her to stay alert and to meet him in Berlin once his business with Marissa is finished. After Eric leaves, Hannah continues her training inside the cabin, but suddenly she hears the sound of helicopters approaching. When she steps outside, she sees the area completely surrounded by armed soldiers. 2 soldiers move in first, but moments later, the others discover them unconscious on the ground. Inside the cabin, they find Hannah sitting calmly in the corner. Elsewhere, Marissa receives confirmation that Eric has escaped during a snowstorm. However, they have successfully captured a young girl who is now being held in a secure underground cell at CIA headquarters. Hannah is then shown being interrogated by Dr. Burton inside a room covered with surveillance cameras. He tries to extract information from her, but when asked what she wants, Hannah calmly says she wants to speak directly to Marissa. Hearing this, Marissa orders that Hannah be told she will come to see her soon. Meanwhile, in the CIA laboratory, 2 doctors examine Hannah's DNA samples. They stare at the results in disbelief, clearly shaken by what they are seeing. Shortly after, Marissa sends a woman to impersonate her and meet Hannah, while she stays behind in Langley to monitor everything remotely. Hannah begins asking how Marissa first met Eric. The woman posing as Marissa receives instructions through an earpiece and responds accordingly. But Hannah senses something is wrong. She pretends to break down emotionally and embraces the fake Marissa. Alarmed by her behavior, the agents monitoring the situation rush in and attempt to sedate her. Instead, Hannah suddenly attacks and kills everyone in the room. She manages to escape through narrow tunnels and makes her way into a laboratory where she kills a doctor and retrieves her DNA test results. Continuing her escape, she crawls through a ventilation shaft and pushes her way out. Below her, cars pass by and she quickly grabs onto one of them. Moments later, she drops off in the middle of the desert, successfully putting distance between herself and the CIA facility. The story then shifts to Marissa inside her apartment as she opens a file filled with passports and stacks of cash. She burns the documents containing secret information about Eric, as if trying to erase every trace of her involvement. A brief flashback follows, showing Marissa attempting to stop Eric's car while he was traveling with Johanna and a 2-year-old Hannah. The story then returns to Hannah, who is now walking alone through the desert. Before long, she runs into a girl named Sophie and her younger brother Miles. When they introduce themselves, Hannah responds using the same lines she memorized during her training. Sophie invites her to join their family, but Hannah refuses and chooses to continue her journey on foot. At the same time, aboard an aircraft, Marissa receives a report stating that Hannah has been spotted walking through the desert in Morocco. However, Marissa dismisses her as a serious threat and orders her team to stay focused on finding Eric instead. Hannah eventually reaches an area where several women are washing clothes while singing. Seeing an opportunity, she quietly takes some clothes from the line and continues walking through a market until she arrives at a small inn. The owner tells her that she is now in Morocco. Hannah responds by mentioning facts she knows about the country and even speaks in Arabic while asking for a place to stay. Although she has no money, the kind innkeeper allows her to stay for free. After being shown to her room, Hannah becomes overwhelmed by unfamiliar things like the television, heater, and fan. Panicked, she runs outside where she unexpectedly runs into Sophie and her brother again. It turns out their family is staying at the same inn. Sophie introduces Hannah to her parents, and they warmly invite her to join them for dinner. Elsewhere, Marissa meets with Michael, a former CIA agent known for his cruelty. After learning that Hannah is in Morocco, Marissa pays him and orders him to capture Hannah alive. The next day, Sophie's family continues their journey in a van, heading toward a ferry terminal. At the same time, Michael has already arrived at the inn and is holding the owner hostage. When his men check the security cameras, they spot Hannah sneaking into the van. When Michael asks where the family is headed, the innkeeper tells him they are going to catch a ferry to Spain. After getting the information, Michael coldly kills the man with a pen. The story then cuts to Eric, who is swimming along the coast of Sweden with a backpack strapped to his body. He reaches the shore in Denmark, where 2 police officers quickly approach him. Not long after, Marissa and a man named Lewis arrive at the scene to identify the bodies of the officers who had tried to arrest Eric. Realizing that Eric is responsible, Lewis suggests contacting Interpol since the situation is clearly escalating. However, Marissa shuts him down and orders him to keep the mission secret. She makes it clear that she wants to be the first and the last person Eric ever sees. The story continues with Hannah hiding inside Sophie's family van. As the vehicle crosses a bridge, one of Michael's men is seen following them on a motorcycle. When they arrive at a campsite in Spain, Hannah quietly steps out of the van and runs past several tents. Unfortunately, one of Michael's men spots her and immediately reports her location. Hannah then heads toward a swimming pool to drink some water and ease her thirst. Suddenly, Sophie appears from the pool and is shocked to see her there. At the same time, Michael and his 2 men begin searching the area, checking the family's tent. Luckily, they only find Miles asleep inside. The next morning, as the family prepares to eat breakfast, Sophie tells her parents about Hannah. Right at that moment, Hannah suddenly appears and hands them 2 rabbits she has hunted. After breakfast, the family continues their journey. However, Michael is already waiting and begins following their vehicle. Hannah notices the car tailing them through the rearview mirror and grows suspicious. When Sophie's mother pulls over to check the map, Hannah quickly jumps out and runs toward a nearby storage area. Michael and his men chase after her and eventually manage to catch her. Hannah fights back, and a struggle breaks out. During the chaos, Sophie suddenly appears, causing one of Michael's men to chase her instead. To protect Sophie, Hannah intervenes, stopping the man and fighting him once again. Hannah then escapes by jumping into the water and climbing onto a nearby boat. Not long after, Marissa arrives at the scene and begins questioning Sophie's family. The parents admit they do not know where Hannah went, while Sophie chooses to remain silent. Using her manipulation, Marissa manages to pressure Miles into revealing Hannah's destination. The story then shifts to Eric, who has just stepped off a bus. Sensing that he is being followed, he lures his pursuers into a basement. As expected, several of Marissa's men surround him, and a fight breaks out. After defeating them all, the story cuts back to Hannah, who has now arrived in Berlin. She heads toward her planned meeting point with her father at the Grimm house, located inside an abandoned amusement park. When Hannah knocks on the door, an elderly man opens it. He is Knepler, a friend of Eric and a former magician. Knepler tells Hannah that Eric left her a message saying he would arrive later that day. His warmth and playful nature help Hannah relax for a moment. However, the calm quickly fades when someone knocks on the door again. Sensing danger, Knepler tells Hannah to hide. When he opens the door, he is suddenly attacked. Marissa storms inside and begins searching the house for Hannah. While hiding under the bed, Hannah overhears Marissa speaking on the phone. During the call, Marissa reveals that Eric is not Hannah's biological father. Once Marissa moves downstairs and the situation feels clear, Hannah quietly slips out of the house and runs. She soon reaches a city street and stops at an internet cafe to search for information about her DNA test results. While digging deeper, she also looks up Eric and eventually finds the address of his mother, her grandmother. Hannah heads there immediately. At the same time, Eric arrives at the Grimm house, the place where he was supposed to meet Hannah. As soon as he gets there, something feels wrong. While moving carefully, he spots Michael and overhears Marissa suggesting that Hannah may have gone to her grandmother's house. Realizing the danger, Eric quickly leaves and rushes toward his mother's home. Soon after, Hannah arrives at her grandmother's house. As she looks around, she is startled when Eric suddenly appears behind her. Hannah immediately asks if he is truly her father. Eric explains that although he is not her biological father, he is the one who raised her, protected her, and stayed by her side her entire life. To him, Hannah has always been his daughter. When Hannah shows him the DNA results proving she is considered abnormal, Eric finally reveals the truth. Hannah was born in a research facility located in rural Poland. The project was led by Marissa and was designed to create the perfect soldier by modifying embryos to eliminate fear and empathy while enhancing physical strength and senses. Eric also admits that he was ordered to recruit Johanna, Hannah's biological mother, from an abortion clinic. The program involved 20 women in total, resulting in many children like Hannah. But when Hannah was only 2 years old, Marissa ran into trouble and decided to shut the entire project down. To erase all evidence, she ordered the elimination of every child involved. Unable to accept that decision, Eric rebelled and escaped with Hannah and Johanna. During their escape, Johanna was captured and killed by Marissa. That was the moment Eric chose to disappear into the wilderness, raising Hannah in isolation so he could protect and train her. Overwhelmed by the truth, Hannah becomes furious and tries to leave. Eric blocks her path, and the two end up fighting.
Let me go!
When Hannah finally overpowers him, she runs off. Even then, Eric follows her, calling out in fear and desperation. Suddenly, Marissa and Michael arrive at the scene. Eric immediately tells Hannah to run, choosing to draw their attention away from her. He confronts them head-on, and a violent fight breaks out. After managing to take down Michael, Marissa steps forward and raises her weapon. Without hesitation, she shoots Eric. After everything that happened, Hannah becomes separated and heads toward the Grimm house to hide. When she arrives, she discovers Knepler hanging lifeless, an arrow lodged in his body. Realizing that Marissa has already been there, Hannah quickly pulls the arrow free and escapes, running toward the nearby amusement park. She makes her way to a roller coaster track, where Marissa finally intercepts her and tries to draw her closer. Hannah pleads to be released, making it clear that she no longer wants to hurt anyone. But as she turns away, Marissa suddenly fires.
Don't walk away from me, young lady!
Hannah reacts instantly and releases her arrow at the same time. The shot from Marissa narrowly misses, only grazing Hannah's side, while Marissa is struck deeply in the chest. Just like the deer at the beginning of the story, Hannah returns for a final strike and ends Marissa's life. After Marissa's death, Hannah is finally free to live without being hunted. So the moral of the story is never raise a kid in the forest. Teach them 10 languages, give them combat training, and then act surprised when they grow up solving problems with arrows instead of therapy.